Hello everybody, my name is Vipers from Vipers TCG and I hope you are having a good day today. We are back with Is It Beginner Friendly? This time we're doing Pokemon. Now, it might seem a bit of a redundant question, is Pokemon beginner friendly? Obviously the whole thing is aimed at children, so yes. Just a short answer, thank you very much for watching. Now, there is a lot more to Pokemon than meets the eye. It depends on how you want to play it. I'll explain how I play it with my son. I play it a little bit differently to the way it should be played, and that's just simply by ignoring this little bit of text there, which we'll get into in a minute. First off the bat, I thought this was a bit of a chunky box, but it does something here that I really like, which is show you the content of the deck. So you can get a good idea of what you're getting in here. You know exactly what it is. I've gone for the Greninja. If you play Pokemon, I'm always a water starter at the beginning. It's always my choice. But in here, in this box, it does tell you exactly what you're going to be getting. So you're going to get a ready-to-play 60-card deck, a reference book, a reference cards, rules booklet, single-player map, set of damage counters, large metallic coin, deck box, which I absolutely love. Shout out to the Pokemon Company for that. A strategy sheet, and a code card to play this deck online. So we are just going to rip into this now, because I need to obviously show you what you're getting for your money's worth. Now, this didn't cost me too much. I did end up picking it up in the Black Friday sale. But these decks aren't relatively too expensive. A lot of them now are getting cheaper. In fact, it was cheaper for me to buy this than it was to buy a pack, which, yeah. If you know anything about Pokemon at the moment, it is going through a lot, and there's tape on it. Thank you very much. But no, there's not. It's just very stuck in. Thank you very much, Pokemon Company, but I know it's not exactly your fault. Here you have your coin, which is stuck in very well. So this is the coin. Obviously, you flip it, you've got heads and tails. Some abilities do need coin flips. You have the mat. So you have this side, which kind of looks more like a poster, and then the game side, which has your prize cards, the active spot, the bench, the deck, and the discard pile. And one thing I do like is when they incorporate this, what you can do on your turn. It explains how to play the game. It explains the attack damage, the attack cost, the name, the hit points. When you draw a card, it's a card from this pile when Pokemon's not. That is huge, by the way, for the Pokemon Company. Putting that on there will really help beginner players understand what they're supposed to do and how to play the game. Here we have our paperwork out the wazoo. We have our damage counters here, which, as you can see, you got a bunch of 10s, 50s, and 100s, which seems like a lot to take in, but it's not. Realistically, it's just a bit of math. I know, advertising more of your products in another product. Love that. There you go. And it kind of explains here how to play the deck. Realistically, what you want to do, how to play it, which I think is pretty nice. Whether people are going to pay attention to that is a different story. Quick start rules, by the way. Quick start rules. How is this a quick start rule? So it sort of explains what you're going to get. That's kind of cute. So you and your opponent will face off in a Pokemon battle and try and knock out each other's Pokemon. The first player to knock out 6 Pokemon wins the game. It explains the cards here, which we'll get to in a minute. I will go over that. How the field should look. How it kind of looks in a game. And it's kind of just going through the motions here with some cute little graphics of Pokemon as they go through it, showing everything that is going on or could happen in a game. Yeah, it's pretty cool. There you go. Poison, paralyze, all the status effects. What to do, mulligan, set up your bench, yada yada yada. What else have we got in here? I don't know why these are individually sealed, but sure, we'll open this up just so you guys get the full experience. Yeah, that was tricky to open because there wasn't much room to open it with. So we have here the special condition cards. What is a special condition? So you got poisoned and confused, burned, asleep and paralyzed, and then sort of explains what it is. And then obviously, little card for what you can do on your turn. Obviously, Pokemon is coming from sort of like a video game as well. If you played it, you'll know that they will all have status conditions. I am not going to show you that because that's my card. I'm probably not going to redeem, but still. This is obviously the main card of the deck. This is the one that they use as a selling point. And the one thing Pokemon always do is the card art. I mean, I'm trying to get a good shot of it without being too shiny. As you can see there, it's kind of like a border break of Greninja. It's going over the border, but it's not quite a full art. I will get a different card to show you what they actually look like, because that is apparently very shiny. I mean, it kind of looks full art, but it's not quite there. Right. So, in a Pokemon deck, you will have energy cards. You will have a lot of energy cards. Now, this is a water deck, so primarily and only I'm going to have water energy. In fact, in a 60 card deck, I have about 18. So it's about a third of the deck is just energy cards. Now, they come into play for... Let me try and find one. We'll do Wugtrio. No, we'll do Lapras. Lapras is better. Because I've seen this. The way this is played, as you can see here, on Lapras, you have the fact it's a basic Pokemon, which obviously differs to the Greninja, which is an evolution Pokemon, which we'll get into in a second. On the card, you have its total hit points, its HP. And down below, you have its attack. So this has two different attacks. It has Hail, which is this attack does 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Don't apply weakness and resistance for bench Pokemon. And Freezing Wind for 3 mana, which is, I say 3 mana, it's energy. 3 energy for 100 damage. Obviously, 100, and then if you evolve the next 10, that's 110 damage it would do, which would be enough to knock itself out next turn if it's obviously if it attacked. Over here, you have the beautiful word weakness. It's got a ×2 weakness to steel, meaning that any steel attacks that hit it will do twice as much damage. So let's say Freezing Wind was on my opponent's and it was a steel type move, then it would do 200 instead of 100. If the card has any resistances, it will be there. And then the retreat costs 1 mana to get the card out. I don't think any of these are going to have a resistance, are they? Ah, perfect. We have a Froakie. Wait a minute. We'll just pick up Frogadier for a sec. So this is Frogadier. Now, as you can see in the top corner of this card, it evolves from Froakie. So the way evolutions work in Pokemon is, I will take that. You will start off with a Froakie because it is a basic Pokemon. Basic Pokemon can be played at any time. On your turn, when you start the game, blah, 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 as long as you've got space to play it. When it then comes to your next turn, you're allowed to evolve Froakie into Frogadier. Any damage status elements will follow it over. Obviously, in this case, there isn't any. I'm just using an example. Then next turn. So you get the gist of how that works. Evolution works the same as it, pretty much always has done in the Pokemon universe. It just takes time, but you can always evolve Pokemon, and you'll always know which ones are the evolutions and which ones aren't by that little icon in the top left. That will then specify whether it's a basic, stage 1, stage 2, and it will always show you what it evolves from. So obviously in the Greninja case, it evolves from Frogadier, so you need a Frogadier to evolve it. Now, you may have noticed on this card we have Greninja EX, whereas the rest of them were just like Frogadier, Froakie. They weren't anything special. However, what this does, if it will focus, come on, focus. When your Pokemon EX is knocked out, your opponent takes 2 prize cards. So this is a risk and reward card. You have a chance, obviously, it will have more HP. This one has 300. It does a lot more damage. But it is like a 2-turn combo. So, for instance, Stealthy Shuriken for 1 energy. This attack does 40 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. And then Torrential Slash, if your opponent already has any damage counts on it, it does 120 more damage. Or it does 120 damage. So that's 240 damage on top of the 40 you would have dealt last turn. So, like 280 damage in 2 turns. It's quite good. But obviously, as you can see here, I have a water energy deck, and that's a random star. That's colorless energy. That means any energy can be used. So if you're in a 2, maybe feeling saucy, a 3 color, 3 energy kind of deck, then as long as you see that symbol, any energy color can be used for it. It doesn't have to relate to the water typings. And obviously, with it being Pokemon, there are a lot of different kinds of types of energies that will be out there for different Pokemons, because, you know, they have quite a few typings nowadays. So we'll just quickly put out some cards, same as we always do. I don't think I need to put out anything else, really, do I? Let's be realistic. No, we've basically got them all. Yeah. Cool. And we'll just use these two as the example cards here. Obviously, we've covered the Pokemon. I thought that I'd do that first because it can be quite time-consuming. The other 2 types of cards, which I love, there isn't 17 different versions of cards. I mean, yes, fair dues, there's different variations on this. There's always a new mechanic coming out of that, but that's fine. That's fine. The base premise is that there's 3 types of cards. You have your Pokemons, and then you have items and supporters. Now, first off, straight on the cards, absolutely love this. It's not something you need to try and remember. You may play 1 supporter card during your turn. You may play any number of item cards during your turn. You don't need to try and remember that stuff. They've already done it for you. They've noted down what it is you need to do. So, for instance, and for me, coming from a Yu-Gi-Oh background, this is crazy. Draw 3 cards. Just draw 3 cards out of your deck. And then you have an item card, which is great, but which is look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal a Pokemon you find there, put it into your hand, shuffle the others back into your deck. Can we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that it literally just says draw 3? Yeah. So, Pokemon. Is it beginner friendly? Yeah. I think it is. Obviously, it tends to be one-on-one games you will be playing. As mentioned, I play it with my son, and we ignore that. I'm not going to add that into the equation. Obviously, while he's still getting into the games and all that malarkey, I'm not going to make him try and work out weaknesses and resistances, because I don't think this deck actually has any on the Pokemon, because they're all water. Yeah, no resistances. Give me 2 secs. I think I've got one somewhere. Come on, Korea. Perfect. Ignore this. I bought some packs of a guy called Zazalan on Whatnot. Shout out Zaz. Amazing creator. I got some Korean packs off him, which for whatever reason this video now has been really useful. So as you can see here, the weakness is ×2 to electric, but the resistance to fighting is -30. Now what that means, and that was a perfect example as well, man. Shout out Zaz actually coming through clutch there in a video he didn't even know was being made. What that means is, as you see, each card has a premise on the attack. So 120 damage here. The ×2 would multiply that damage by 2 if it had a 2 times weakness to water. It would then do, let's just say it's not taking damage, it would do 240. Make life easier. And obviously, then if it had taken damage, then obviously it does another 120 damage. So I don't know whether it duplicates to 480, but play by your own rules if you're playing at your local home rather than your local game shop. But if it did that -30, then let's just say the opponent's Pokemon hasn't taken any damage. Rather than 120, it would be 90 damage. And obviously the premise of the game is to knock out 6 of your opponent's Pokemon. So your objective is to take the opponent's Pokemon's HP down to 0, take a prize card from your prize card pile, add it to your hand, which is normally done by going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom, prize pile, match your Pokemon out. Cool, I got a great ball. Cool, I got a potion. You know, there's all these different stuff from the games that are now in here as well. So you can see you've got all these cards in there as well. That all do different things. But yeah, no, in the grand scheme of things, Pokemon, is it beginner friendly? I think if you play it how you want to play it firstly, then yes, I think it can be. I think once you start taking it more seriously, then obviously it's going to be a lot less beginner friendly than some of the other TCGs that are out there. However, that being said, in the grand scheme of things, yes, it is. There's 3 card types you need to take into account of. As long as you can read, you'll be doing okay. There is nothing out there, as far as I'm concerned, that is overly complicated about it. The mats that come with it tell you how to play the game, what you're looking out for, sort of abilities, card effects, yada yada yada. I think, as far as trading cards go, Pokemon do a good job with their starting decks. I've got another one on the way. I play a bit myself. I used to play a bit more back in the day. But no, I think they do a good way of balancing things. And obviously there is a very active scene for Pokemon as well, which is nice to see. That it's being, kept alive and that there's still new stuff coming out for it. It's shame about the cost of packs and what's going on with them currently. But no, I would recommend if you know someone who wants to get into it, it's not too difficult. It is something that can be picked up, something that can be learned quickly. They do a very good job of overly explaining, I would say, on how to play this game. As far as getting you introduced to the rules and what to do, Pokemon does it the best. As you've seen, that mat was covered on what to do. It had a step-by-step guide in the top, well, not the top left, but like top middle left of the play mat. There was a what you do on your turn. The cards are pretty self-explanatory. It isn't too over the top. The only thing you need to remember is hey, does this have a special ability? Is it affected by a status condition? That's about it. Everything else is there. It's self-explanatory. It's good to go. Fortunately, I don't have a sneak peek for the next episode. My apologies. I'm not quite sure what the next video is going to be. But that being said, stick around, leave a like, comment, subscribe to be there for the next one. And until then, I will see you all later.